Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the swear word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the chilihead community, by the chilihead community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is a place for you. Up tonight, we have an amazing guest, locked and loaded from Canada, and a very fun game planned. So, episode 175 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, and or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for being here and continuing to make this podcast what it is. And hey, if this is your first time checking out the podcast, thank you so much for being here. Those that have been rocking with me since day one, thank you so much. Y'all have been doing amazing, reaching out, letting me know, hearing some feedback, hearing about some guests that you want to see, hearing about some products you want to see featured. I greatly appreciate that. Please continue to reach out, get that plugged in. And for those Swear citizens that are helping contribute to the overall direction for the podcast and other areas, thank y'all all so much for being a part of the Swear citizens. So tonight we have a very fun guest. We have Zack from MTHELL Hot Sauces here. So we're going to be diving in on everything that he has going on, inspiration, the journey that he's taken, the paths, the ups, the downs. Also, there's an announcement towards the end of this episode, so stick around for that. If you would have answered the game any different than Zack did, please let me know down below what your answer would have been to the game. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and kick off tonight's podcast. Hey, Zack, how's it going?
Doing good in yourself. Thank you.
Doing great. Glad to have you here. Have heard amazing things. Obviously, you were nominated to be on the hot seat to be here as a guest. So, love what you have going on from what I've been able to gather from social media, and excited to learn more about you, your sauces, the inspiration, and so much more, the future ahead, and all of that. So, honored to have you here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I'm glad we got down to sit and talk there. I've been seeing you post on social media in the past couple of weeks and stuff, and I've been I've been looking forward to this there.
Absolutely appreciate that. Well, the one thing that I always start out with is what got you into the world of hot, and what was that catapulting moment that you said, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to start making my own hot sauce.
Well, I've always been into hot sauce from a very young age. I'm still very young right now. I'm 32, but I started, my youngest memories was when I was 14, 15. Of course, everyone starts off with the classic Tabasco, Sriracha, Frank's Red Hot there. If you didn't start with that, then you're very blessed and your parents accommodated you to some artisanal stuff, which is pretty cool, which my son will be getting that there, but always started with the basics. But my first honest memory was I remember when I was going to college and I was living on my own. You had to learn the hard way to do your own groceries at that time. So I started going to the supermarket, and I remember I used to go by this shop, and the shop had a wall of hot sauces, like a whole bunch of artisanal makers. And I remember pulling out one that was a blueberry, vanilla, and cinnamon hot sauce. And for me, I was like, blueberries in a hot sauce, like that's possible. Like I didn't even think it was something that was imaginable. That, like, for me, hot sauce was the basics, like sriracha and Tabasco and Frank's Red Hot. But when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy that, like, you could actually make blueberries into a hot sauce and almost be a dessert. And it's actually it's a company in Quebec called Dam Sauces. It's called the Saguenay Blues because here in Quebec, blueberries in the Saguenay region is like super popular. So I remember from that time on, I was just like, okay, this is like incredible that, like, you could do blueberries in a hot sauce and make it a dessert. So every 2 weeks from then, when I used to do my groceries, I would always go back to that shop and I'd pull out a new bottle. Blair's Death Insanity sauces I would try all the time, the Hellfires, and I was just like, that's when it really, like, piqued my curiosity for hot sauce. And then now we're going on 4 years of business this week there. So 4 years ago when I started this was right in the middle of the pandemic, and I was at home. I was making hot sauces just for fun in my kitchen, giving them out to friends for free, not asking for any money. And then all my friends were telling me that, like, hey, you should maybe turn this into a business and start selling this. And I was just like, my friends are going to tell me whatever I want to hear. They're maybe not going to be my best critics and stuff there. So I continued like just making them for fun. And I remember at one point over here in Quebec, uh, we allowed during the pandemic a beer delivery service. So you could buy beer at a store online and they could deliver it to you to your house. Where prior to the pandemic, you were not allowed to do that. It's like super strict over here in Quebec. Uh, so the stores were allowed to deliver the beer. So I ordered beer online from a shop, and the delivery guy came to my place to go deliver. And it was a late Saturday afternoon, and I had just finished like making my own blueberry hot sauce. 'Cause I was just like, oh, I've been trying blueberry hot sauces. I want to make one myself there. So I gave the guy, the delivery man, my blueberry hot sauce that I had made, and the next day, they messaged me on Instagram to tell me, "Hey, if ever you want to sell your hot sauce like in my shop, just let me know, and like I will definitely like be taker for that there." And I was like, "Okay, maybe I got something with this. It's not just my friends that are saying this there." So, literally the next week, I contacted an artist to go make me this right here, actually. So this little picture frame right here. So she painted this, and then I turned this into my logo, which then over the past couple of years has now developed into this one right over here. So yeah, I got my logo done. I got my food safety license done. I did my training. I registered my company, registered my taxes, and 4 years later, we're in 160 stores across Quebec. I'm doing very well. Like we've went from 4 products, now we've got on the regular lineup 12. On any given day, right now we're at 22 products, so it's a lot of SKUs to handle. But I've got a lot of creative ideas in my mind, so I like to make them, and I love to collaborate with people. So I'm not really a no person. I'm a yes guy. So you ask me for to collab. If we could think of something cool, we got the same mind, we're definitely going to create something. So yeah, that's
That
pretty much how it all started.
That's awesome. And yes, to know that the inspiration, the drive that kind of just catapulted this all. And for such a simple transaction as someone delivering a package and you just, them unknowingly receiving a bottle of hot sauce in this whole,
Mhm.
handoff had to be interesting, not only for that delivery person to be like
Mhm.
completely unannounced to like I guess what was their initial thought? Were they like, "Oh, sorry, I don't like hot sauce," or did they just go like, "Oh, I've," were they excited?
Well, in Quebec, there's every beer store. Like there's specific beer stores that exist here. They're called the DBSQs, where they specifically sell microbrewery beer. And in literally every single microbrewery store, there's always like a hot sauce rack. There's always that where they support like artisanal makers of. It could be chips, it could be kombucha, it could be cider, it could be wine, it could be hot sauce. Or actually, it has all those things to be honest,
Hmm.
there. But every shop that I know of, like they have like a hot sauce rack. So I was like, if these guys have a pretty big selection of hot sauce, I'm pretty sure the guy who's delivering maybe likes it. Like I bet my chances that there's a good chance he likes it. And what I did mention is that the guy who actually was delivering was the owner of the shop. So it just turned out that the owner was like, "Hey, I want your sauces in my shop," and he actually turned out to be my first point of sale. Once I did my registration of my company and I made my first sauces and I got my food handling license, like he was the first one I contacted, and I was like, "Hey, I'm ready to finally deliver on this promise, and here's my sauces." So I thought there was a good chance that he would like it. I was gambling with it, but I was like, at worst, if he doesn't like it, he's gonna throw it out or he'll give it maybe to the employees. But if they got a hot sauce rack, there's maybe a good chance they like it. And well, here we are now. It actually turned out pretty good. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I can see where like the fit is absolutely perfect because like you have such a beautiful crossover between the beer industry and the hot sauce industry, right? Because so many of just differences like processes in which you're doing this, the way in which that you're having to sterilize and clean, like all these things kind of have these kind of overlap correlation. Obviously,
Mhm.
the fermentation's a little bit different, but like you still have
Yeah.
that same type of process going through, or
Mhm.
loosely the same type of process going through. But you have so many ingredients that are beautiful, harmonious crossover between those two together
Mhm.
that yes, very true to what you're saying as well. Like finding hot sauce in a beer place is almost now starting to become second nature, it seems,
Mhm.
because you're like hot sauce in beer works out phenomenal. So much so that there's now like more spicy beers prevalent and available.
Mhm.
And to find one that's done right with great execution, where you can still pick up the flavor of the pepper and the other notes that you're wanting to bring forward, but still have that nice
Mhm.
hoppy bite underneath, is like chef's kiss.
Yeah, we are in Quebec. It's more pronounced in the dark beer. So like all the stouts and stuff. There's a lot of breweries that are starting to like add peppers to that to give it like an extra because they're seeing the hype there. Like when you start to see like places like McDonald's, Wendy's. Over here we have Tim Hortons. We have all like the big chains of like restaurants and stuff like start to have like their own style of like something spicy on the menu. It's no longer like taboo anymore to like try spice. Like more and more when I go places to sell my products, you don't get the people who are just like, oh, spice for me. No, 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 no. Pepper is spicy. Like people are a lot more interested now.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beer world, actually, like we're starting to see that a lot more here. I've actually collabed on a spicy stout with a brewery out here in Quebec, and I'm actually going to be collabing on another hot spicy sort of beer in the next like month that hasn't been announced yet, but will be coming very soon there. But it's actually which is different. We're going to be doing like a smoothie style beer, but like a spicy smoothie style beers, which is like
Okay.
not really heard of in Quebec. There's been a few in Ontario, not gonna lie, but like in Quebec, it's like very like it's more on the stout side. Like, but stouts just are a lot easier to integrate with peppers as like smoothies. You could add just a little bit of pepper to it, and depending on what you're using, like it could go a long way there. So find that perfect balance, and also like not every customer wants to be drinking something spicy.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to consume like eat something spicy, but drinking something spicy, it's a whole another world. But we've got those chili heads over here, so and I'm pretty sure it's going to please the world once they find out what we're coming out with there. Like it's pretty cool. Like I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that that is a huge untapped sector in the whole entire like I guess food industry as a whole. Just really the
Mm-hmm.
spicy alcohol, spicy beer market. Obviously, you already have that higher demand there. The market as a whole, I can't really speak towards like how Canada's doing, but the market as a whole, even in
Mm-hmm.
the U.S., has been really dipping in alcohol sales, and I know that that's been
Mm-hmm.
something that's kind of rocking the boat for that industry. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
making collaborations happen like this, or finding new ways to differentiate and stand out, because while every beer that you can go out there and get is, for the small craft brewers, it is very similar to how the hot sauce industry is. It's like a good
Mm-hmm.
representation of that person's heart, soul, passion, like poured out into that product, as to where a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the um, larger mass conglomerate companies in the beer industry, they tend to
Mm-hmm.
start to have a lot of similarities in flavor, in
Yeah.
taste, in
Mm-hmm.
desired effects, all these things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
having something like that could really reawaken and revitalize that company or industry as a whole, I would think, and
Mm-hmm.
also be
Yeah.
hugely impactful for hot sauce capsaicin lovers as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and the community is growing every year. Like we go to hot sauce festivals every summer, and like every summer, there's more and more like makers that are there. There's more and more fans that are coming out there. So it's like I said, it's no longer taboo anymore to eat spicy. Like it's now become a norm, which is like it's great, honestly. I love it that people are finally like I mean there's always going to be like the crazy spice like when people are talking about like the guys who come out with like the bomb and stuff there or like the
mhm.
last dab which is like the insane stuff, but then there's going to be that mild medium stuff that like pleases the general public, that it's finally becoming like normal to eat spicy and to have spicy food like offered on the menu without it being like taboo anymore, which is pretty cool, and I thoroughly enjoyed, and it's great for our hot sauce maker community that like people are becoming normalized to this kind of stuff. So and which when they become normalized to this, they're more likely to spend a little bit more money. Because I mean, when you have like a Tabasco or Sriracha, which goes for $2 to $6 a bottle, versus when you go to like a hot sauce maker, which could go from anywhere from 10 to maybe 20, $15 a bottle. Like, not everybody, like, especially in this time where people are like more conscious about where they spend their dollar, it's nice to see that like it's becoming normal, so that people are going into those limits of spending a little bit more money on an artisanal product and supporting their local hot sauce maker in their area.
Absolutely. Something else that you had mentioned was obviously like through the process of starting and making your own sauces at home. Something
Mhm.
that popped up in my head is like, do you have the, first of all, sounds like you have a lot going on, but do you have the time to
Mhm.
grow? If not, where are you going about, I guess, sourcing your peppers? Are you getting that from like local to you farmers, or how
Mhm.
does that kind of shape up?
Yeah. So my peppers, I would say 98% of them come from the Quebec region. So within, like I'm in like the center of Montreal. So about approximately, because I buy them out in Saint Jean, which is probably like about an hour drive from here. So about 45 kilometers away from where I am there. So most of our, like 98% of our peppers are sourced out in Quebec. I buy for probably about, this year we just placed our order, and if I'm not mistaken, it was about 450 kilos worth of peppers that we, because of Quebec, like our weather is not as great as like down south there. You have a small window of when they're ready and when you got to start them. So you
Mm-hmm.
need to plan ahead of time, because finding stuff after the season is really not that easy. I mean, you could find your basic jalapenos, habaneros, uh, you can find your serranos, you can find your Thai chilies like at all times through like the
Mm-hmm.
local produce that get them imported down from like Mexico and in the States.
Yep.
But like when you're looking for, like, you can find some reapers too, but it's going to be like triple the price as what you normally would pay in season. Ghost peppers, forget about that. Scorpions, forget about that. You're not going to find any like more niche peppers. So you really got to do your planning ahead of time. So like I just placed my order like last week, and that way my producer could set all the plans, get them ready, so that he could then deliver to me out in the end of August, beginning of September, because our window is like beginning of August, and then it ends like maybe first week of October if they've got like a greenhouse. If they don't got a greenhouse, like forget about it. Like mid to end September, it's over. So we gotta plan ahead of time, because like these things are very short lived in Quebec because of our weather situation. So, but that 2% that's not like from Quebec is like, I make a spicy maple syrup. And with that spicy maple syrup, because of course we're Canadian, we got to make a maple syrup there. So in the spicy maple syrup, we use like some Mexican peppers, just more for like flavoring, like anchos. We use some guajillos, we use some ritas and some chipotle, just to like
Okay.
give it more flavor, but not really looking for like the spice, because in Quebec, typically maple syrup is used like for breakfast and used
Uh-huh.
for like desserts. And it's not everybody that's accustomed to like spiciness in desserts and breakfast, but I have a little twist on it. I make a spicy maple syrup and I combine it with a chocolate coffee flavored rum that's made like literally 10 minutes down the road from me. And they import the rum, and then they add real chocolate, real coffee into it. And we then use that chocolate coffee rum, we mix it to our maple syrup, and then I add my peppers to it, and then I let it simmer. Well, I let it, I let it, I forget the word in English, but I let it blend in it for a good like 3 4 days, and then I
Okay.
take it out, and then I heat it up, and then I bottle it afterwards or so. That's actually going to be coming out at the end of March or so. Yeah, we that's like the only like product that I don't use like Quebec grown peppers are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a few things there that you had mentioned that I wanted to say. So, first of all, for
Mhm.
everyone that is watching, listening, and they're unfamiliar with who you are, first of all, I
Mhm.
want to absolutely applaud. You know, you're handling this overall interview perfectly. Obviously, English not always like your
Mhm.
predominant language, just so that
Yeah,
everyone is fully aware. So hats off to you on that. That is wild to me
thanks.
because I can understand a few words here and there in other languages, but like I cannot commit to the full uh, you know learning of a language. I don't know. It's just it
Mhm.
it seems like a bit much for me. So, first of all, hats off
Yeah.
there. Second of all, you had mentioned something, and yes, like the time commitment, obviously, that it takes for you to be able to make this product, be with your family, etc., is one thing, but you literally have what it sounds like is a very minimal margin of error. So like with your growers having such a short window, it's like obviously yes, as you're saying, reaching out ahead of time, making sure everything's lined up. And then obviously I would assume like that initial process of vetting growers, knowing who's going to actually be able to produce the amount of peppers and the type of peppers that you want.
Mhm.
It's a big undertaking. Is that something like
Mhm.
that where you have either other others on standby backup? Like, how does that play out? I know with that short window, there's got to be some kind of failsafe.
Yeah, that's actually what I like. I learned the hard way my first couple of years, being new to the business of hot sauce. Like, I thought like, oh, just go to like your local grow, your big like vegetable supplier, and you could go find whatever you want. Because the times that I went, like they had reapers, they had habaneros, they had yellow, red, green. They had like yeah, even green there. They even had orange ones. They had Thai chilies, they had jalapenos, they had serrano. So for me, I was just like new to the game. I thought these were like the peppers to use, and then summer came along, and then every once in a while they had like specialty peppers. So like they had some Big Mama mustards, they had some scorpions, they had some ghosts, they had some chocolate habaneros. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Let me go make a product with this. And then not realizing like once that product that I made with it was out, I was like, whoa, what the hell do I do now? Because like I can't find these peppers again. So I started asking other makers, like, who do you guys like source from? And it's always touchy, like asking other makers where they source from. Some are very generous and they'll let you know all their sources. Some are want to keep it to themselves because they want to make sure that their production is met so that they can come out with their products and stuff there. So
Yep.
luckily, I found out some good people and they referred me to a few places, which at year three, then I figured out okay, I need to source this ahead of time. So, but even like just sourcing it ahead of time, like that means you're like okay, I know that next year I need to make this sauce this amount of time. It takes X amount of peppers to make it, and when you have 12 regular products, you got to calculate that ahead of time, and
Yep.
you're growing two at the same time. So you're like, okay, well, if I make this sauce comes out, I mean, one year I had a sauce where it went from making 100 cases a year to having to make 400 cases a year, and it just grew like that because I found this regular supplier that this regular retailer that bought the sauce so frequently that it just kept selling out, and they were buying like 20, 30, 40, 50 cases at a time, and I was like, how the hell am I going to keep up with this? Or so I the year last year, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy for like the next year and a half worth of like sauce, just peppers, just to make sure. Turns out I finished like the last year and a half was supposed to last me for the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like when the year comes, and then the next 6 months is gonna be the year and a half. Like I just like ran out of like a certain amount of peppers, and like I just remade some batches, and I'm just like hoping to God that like I could last until the summertime. But because of that situation, I found another producer backup that I did make I placed a small order with them just
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that like, I have some peppers in case.
Yep.
It's gonna be it should be some surplus. It'd be great if it's not surplus. I mean, that means business is booming and that'd be very good there and stuff there. But I would like it to make sure just to have some surplus. And I mean, you never know with like our weather out up here. Like
Mm-hmm.
there were certain peppers that I was supposed to get last year and certain amounts I was supposed to get, but finally I got half the amounts because of the weather situation or because it was just constantly raining and like they weren't able to grow certain peppers or certain spots weren't like done properly. So I had some issues with some peppers, but for the most part, everything was good. So now I'm like starting to realize like you gotta have a backup plan just in case like that stuff happens because if you're missing peppers, you don't have a hot sauce. You don't have a hot sauce. You don't have a business. You don't have a business. No money's coming in, and you got a families to support. So like, you got to make sure things are going well, and you got to plan ahead of time just in case like things happen. So,
Yeah.
I'm slowly realizing this and preparing for this. So like now it's not going to happen next year.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance if you think about it, because something you said perfectly during that is like buying some peppers as hopefully having a surplus, and like that's the part that gives you the ease to sleep at night. But at the same time, the other
Mhm,
side of that sword is you also think of it as like now you have all this product that needs to be moved. So it's you have to
mhm,
find that delicate balance of having just enough on hand. It feels
mhm,
like to be able to keep up with the demand, but not too much to
mhm,
be like overly heavy on stock.
mhm,
Yeah, golly. And I, that's always changing. That's always learning. You're always having to evolve with, as demand picks up, as new products roll
mhm,
out. And it sounds like, there's no shortness in, I guess, if you will, of the list of creative products, because it sounds like you're always thinking
mhm,
about new ways to introduce something. So I can see where, just from my own personal, the way my brain works, like the conundrum that you're dealing with in that sense, because for me, it's like all these great ideas will pop up, and I'll have to, if I'm doing it right, I'll write them down and they'll stay there so I can reflect on them later. If I'm not doing it right,
mhm,
I'll be like, "Oh, I got this. My mental memory bank will remember this." And of course, things like that fail us at times. So, yeah, it's the planning, the time commitment is got to be wild.
mhm.
I know you said obviously with your family life, the hot sauce life. How has that kind of played in? Have you had a pretty strong sounding board from your like immediate family all the way to like your extended family around you to kind of like rally the troops there? And how are their heat tolerances?
Yeah. So at first, it was a very big family business. Like it was me, my girlfriend in the kitchen, sometimes her mom, her dad, her cousins, her uncles, her aunts. Like they would come and help us. Like I remember some summers, like the 2 summers ago when we got like our first official harvest back there, and like I was there with like 200 kilos worth of peppers, and like for me, 200 kilos, like, oh, 200, it's not a bad number, but like when you see it in front of you, you're like, okay, I maybe I bought too much, but then you're like, okay, no, it's not for now, it's for later. So like
Mm-hmm.
having to process them and stuff, like that was like a big like issue at the beginning of like, I mean, going from like a couple of jalapenos not so bad, but then like having to introduce them to like the reapers and the scorpions and the ghost peppers, like that was like another world. And the big mama mustards too, like wearing gloves, so like having to switch your gloves. And I mean, people always make the mistake where they don't wear gloves or they wear gloves and they touch something else. Like that's not so
Mm-hmm.
fun. So like it was a big family business, but then came my son 2 years ago. He just turned two a couple weeks ago. So my son came and like my girlfriend was like, having to raise a kid, like she's not going to be able to come help in the kitchen and raise the kid at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to make a choice where like, okay, I need to get this off the ground and stop being like so close-minded and small-minded. Like I need to make this big and I need to make this to work. So like that's when I was like, I realized that I'm a person where I like to be independent. I like to do things by myself. And if I am always going to count on myself to figure it out, and I don't like to count on others. But that's when I had to learn how to delegate things and how to ask for help, which I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really do before. So now I have a team that helps me do festivals. So when I go out to festivals and markets and stuff, I got a team that helps me with that. I got a team that's willing to help me in the kitchen every time we go into production, because we're still doing production ourselves. We do have something in the works to maybe have some co-packer do certain products of ours, because we're scaling pretty big, and with a family, with a part-time job, which a lot of people don't know about that. I do have a part-time job from Tuesday to Friday, which is why I'm able to do this on Mondays and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
on from Tuesday to Fridays, I work a part-time job at a bank. It's been 11 years that I've been working there. Of course, the goal is to leave and to do this hot sauce business full time. My boss is fully aware of it, that eventually I'm not going to be able to do both at the same time there. But for now, they've done incredible flexibility with allowing me to have my a part-time schedule, so having Mondays off at all times. In the summertime, I'm able to switch my Mondays for Fridays, because often festivals or markets around here start Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm able to switch those days in advance. Like for this year, my entire market festival schedule is already out for the entire year, and I've already said it with my boss that the whichever weeks that I have like markets and festivals that start on a Friday, well, I'm able to switch that already. So it's already planned ahead of time. So doing that, having to finish work during the day, also manage all the administrative part. I found an accountant who's doing all my accounting for me. I've got my artists that do like all my graphic designs and to do my artwork for my products. Like I used to try to do everything myself, but I was just like, I can't do it all. So having a kid really changed my mindset, realizing that I need help in this if I want to get bigger. So, and we're like I said, we're adventuring the possibility of a co-packer at the moment to co-pack certain products, so that the stuff that's more like labor intensive to get that stuff done, or the stuff that really works well and that it sells a lot that needs to be done more frequently, get that done by a co-packer. Which I know in some artisanal minds it's like selling your soul to the devil by having someone else make your product, but in the long run, if you want to make it, whether you scale up yourself by doing your own production and you have your own facilities and stuff, or you go to a co-packer to help you on certain things. So for the most part, like of my SKUs, I'll have one that will probably be co-packed, maybe two or three more. And then I'll have like my others, which is like my 12 regulars plus my seasonal or my random collabs that I do with people that will be done by myself. And I also have like a personal life, which surprises people too. I play hockey during the week. I play hockey on the weekends. Me and my girlfriend go out. We go to dinner and stuff. So like, it's a lot of time consuming. Like running the business Tuesday, running my having my own job from Tuesday to Friday, running the business every other hour of the that I have in my day. Also deal with my family, a kid. So it's been a lot of work trying to keep up everything there, but I'm getting to a point where, of course, eventually I'm going to go full time into this there. But for now, I'm playing it safe as things are working well for now. But when I see a point where it's not going to be working well anymore, and that I have to do this, that's when I'll make the jump. So hopefully
Yeah.
soon, but we'll see what time will come there.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And so I guess quickly to touch on something that you said, and then I have something to ask as well. But
Mhm.
the being able to touch on the hockey side of things, I absolutely love
Mhm.
hockey. Probably one of the very few Texans in general that uh,
Yeah, say
football, like I
it's
don't
somebody
hate it.
popular
I
there.
don't hate it. I just don't like it. I don't care to watch it. I don't care
Mhm.
to keep up with it. But hockey, I'm all for it. Pretty wild. I kind of saw this one coming. Just looking at the historical thing of like the 250th anniversary of the United States. I was like, okay, this like U.S. has not beat Canada in hockey for the
We'll bring
gold
that up.
in quite a while. And so I was like, I could already see this before the game even shaped, before they were even there. I was like, this is like
Mhm.
that perfect little, like if someone's writing a movie, this is like that perfect little
Mhm.
swan song, I guess, to pay
Mhm.
the homage to it. But like, uh,
Mhm.
there's a lot of upset in that kind of whole shakeout. I mean, you had Finland, that Finland Canada game where a lot of people were outraged by it, and I'm just like, at the same time, I've always kind of had this slight outlook on it. Like, the players are out there playing, they're doing their thing, but these massive pro
Mhm.
leagues, these big like money
Mhm.
machine leagues, there's a little bit of I've always had this outlook on it. Is the outlook of there's a little bit of manipulation to how the game actually
Mhm.
comes, how the outcome actually is,
Mhm.
and so yeah. At any time I see something like that, I always try to think like, okay, well, how would this actually? And then oftentimes that tends to be the true outcome of the games.
Mhm. There were some questionable calls, but it panned out. It sucks that you guys. Well, I mean, congrats on the U.S. winning the Olympic gold, not only in
Yeah.
the men's but also in the women's too, which was considering that Canada in the women's side they lost 5-0. in the prelims, and then after to come back and to bring them all the way down to overtime. And I forget her first name, but Knight, who scored that tying goal right at the last minute
Yep.
to bring them to overtime, and then scoring at the end, like incredible on them. And even just in the U.S. game and in the men's side there, like those open net misses, the save by Halibut at the end with the stick
Yeah.
coming back, like
That
incredible
save.
game by the States. Honestly,
That save
that will
was
be like
wild.
that will haunt us forever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was one of those that I was, I'm glad Hallebuck was playing because obviously the outcome, but it was one of those things. I was
Mhm.
like, I was waiting for Ottinger to get in there, and nothing. Like, come on now, get in there. But at the same time, we need him healthy. We need him good because we're
Mhm.
we're sitting here for this final push.
Mhm.
So let's see if Dallas can
Yeah.
can bring back the 99
Yeah.
energy back over here. So,
Of
well, yeah.
course. Of course.
Nice little detour off of that, and
Mhm.
just so
Mhm.
not continue to lose anyone that's not in love with hockey.
Yeah.
I'll jump topics back on over here.
Of course.
But something that the thing that I really wanted to lean in, because I think this is
Mhm.
the greatly beneficial part that I think a lot struggle with. And obviously, your path is your path, and like what
Mhm.
meets your needs is a bit different than say someone else's. But I feel like far too often, business owners in general, definitely hot sauce companies, as they are growing and they are starting to become, bigger in demand, bigger in size, all this stuff, they struggle with the delegation part, knowing where to go next or at what point. Like, everyone's so worried about, and makes sense to select the wrong thing, and then all of a sudden they're in their eyes seeing something as throwing money away instead of it being a
Mhm.
benefit. But like, even if you, like, let's say you had three options, right? Three paths to go for your business. Even if you picked option C when you should have picked option B, then like it doesn't mean that it's all over, because all these were three possible paths at which you should or could
Mhm.
take. And it's just now your process in that goes different. But
Mhm.
how were you able to distinguish, I guess, that path forward to find what worked best for you?
I kind of just like ride the wave, honestly. Like I just rode the wave until like this point where if demand was getting higher, like I would just make more sacrifices to be in the kitchen more often and figuring out how to scale up a sauce. Like going from like I still remember like sometimes I look back at like my recipe book is my recipe book is still done by hand. I don't do it like digitally. Like for me, like for things to click, I have to write it down and I have to like see it visually, put it into like on paper and stuff there. So like sometimes I look back at like my recipes when I was doing them at the beginning, and like I was doing maybe 20 liters at a time there, and like that was what, like maybe 10 cases, and I was just like, I thought that was like a lot, like when I was doing 20 cases, because starting in the kitchen I was doing like maybe one case, and I was like, oh, this is like fun to do at home. And then doing 10 cases at a time, I was like, okay, now I'm big, now I'm doing 10 cases. I'm like, I look back at that and it makes me laugh that like I used to think that was big. Now I'm at a point where like if I'm not doing like 100 to 115 cases at a time there, like it's just not feasible, or it's just not like it doesn't make sense, especially like when you want to get like at a specific price point for a merchant, and also
Hmm.
like a profitability range as well there. Because I mean, people think that like, okay, you sell your sauces like a typical sauce in Quebec probably sells like between 13 and like $4 and $15, like that's a
Hmm.
retails for. But like you got to have your margin for like your businesses to be able to purchase at a lower amount so that they could sell at that price. But
Yep.
then if you're lowering that point, you also got to be able to make profit off of that to be able to survive, to make everything else, and to have like it's not just like the peppers, the fruits, the vegetables, the vinegar, the beer, whatever else you're putting in the spices in it, but like to make the whole infrastructure work. Like I'm in 1,100 square foot warehouse. I have got a 600 square foot kitchen that I got to pay for. I got my electricity bills to pay for. I've got merch to pay for. I've got like packaging to be able to ship things. I got my website. I got my graphic designer. I got my accountant to pay for. Like my gas, my car. Like there's so many things that go into like making it that like, of course you want to like go down in like price points in terms of like your costs and stuff, but there's a certain point where like I'm not going to take like just random ingredients that maybe are like, I try to keep as clean label as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's certain things that like I just won't buy because I know it's not clean. They're like, for instance, in like a tomato sauce, or like I've gone to a point where I could buy fresh tomatoes. It may vary from batch to batch because like from season they may be more water, they have may
Mm-hmm.
less water, maybe more acidic. So that part like you got to be aware of consciously. Like when you first start off you don't think about it, but then when you start to go into like 80, 90, 100 cases at a time, and you got to like make like 250 liters worth of sauce, like you need to think about like, okay, how does this stay like consistent from the first batch to the next batch? So of course I go into like maybe some canned tomatoes instead, but I won't go into the ones with like all like the sodium benzoate into it, or like
Mm-hmm.
some citric acid into it, or any other like preservatives and stuff. Like I'll try to find like something as clean as possible, like the just maybe water, salt, and tomato. And yes, it may have a little bit more bland of a taste, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll compensate that with like certain spice blends or certain adjuncts in it, such as like a specialty fruit or a specialty beer, or even in the way you make it. Like whenever I make something with like vegetables in it, I'll always roast them just
Mm-hmm.
to like give them like some added depth to it, and it gives it
Yep.
a nice roastiness that like is signature to like my products, which it's less popular out in my area of like hot sauce makers. They typically tend to just like take everything, chop it up, put it into a pot, boil it, or even blend it before and then boil it. Whereas like me, like when I make a sauce, it's going to take like 8 hours to make, like from the time we start to the time we finish, because I'm going to chop up everything, I'm going to blend, and I'm going to roast things. And in the meantime, I'm going to be like simmering my pot for a long, like, I'm going to let it like simmer for a good like 2 to 3 hours at a time. So that way,
Yeah.
like once all the ingredients are in it, like everything's starting to blend together and to mesh together to get
Yeah.
like even more depth as a flavor. So it's not just like a pepper, vinegar, heat, and then it's done. Like you're gonna get so many different layers of the sauce that you taste like the artistry in the product. That like it's not just like it's not just water, pepper, vinegar, salt, and that's it. They're like there's so much more to it, and so much more creativity that I want you to like feel like all like my passion into it. There, like I want the person to understand that it's not just your basic sauce. It's something more than that. There, so I uh, I definitely like I try to put like more effort into this to like scale up and to keep the costs low, but to also have a good margin so that like people could sell them. And people tend to follow into my game of like people sometimes say like you come out with too many products and stuff, which yes I do. I've calmed down a bit. I used to come out with a lot more there, but now I try to limit it. I'm saying limiting, but like I'm coming out with like 5 products this week there, but that's because it's our fourth anniversary and stuff there. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like finding that balance of like trying to scale up like there from like my, and now I have like my basis. I like after 4 years of doing this there like professionally, like I know like a basic hot sauce takes about 40 to 50% liquid, and then after you got to figure out the rest. So like fruits you'll probably maybe do like a 25%. Peppers, a super hot's going to be maybe like 2 to 5%. So like
Mm-hmm.
I know you probably hear like 2 to 5% pepper, that's not a lot there, but like 5% Carolina Reaper in a recipe goes a very long way there. So like you got to be, you find your balance and you find your range of like what kind of heat level you want, and then you balance it out with all the other adjuncts in it there and stuff there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and something that you said perfectly too. It's like, you're when you're starting out and you're doing something on a smaller scale, like a trial batch. You're messing with
Mhm,
things in the kitchen. You're experimenting.
mhm,
Like that consistency, like to just continue to replicate only small batches, can be so all over the board, sporadic, right? It could be
mhm.
one could be high, one could be low, one could be more acidic, one could be more sweet, all these things, right? But as very true to what you're saying, when you're making that larger batch, not only are you
Mhm.
helping, I guess it's once again double-edged sword, helping in one way
Mhm.
lower the price, but obviously you're having to pay more kind of upfront for that. But you're
Yeah.
also flattening the average out, if you will, on the flavors at which you're getting these ingredients by making it all at once. You're making it much more
Yeah.
harmonious. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
like it.
it's I get a lot of questions and from like new makers and stuff about like how to like scale up and stuff, since like they know my journey from like the beginning to like now. And like I always try to tell them like, look, anything you make, is it possible to make it in a 100 case batch? Could you scale it up there? You should always think about that, because some of my recipes on my original four sauces have changed a little bit since the beginning, just because like they just weren't like, it just wasn't possible to scale it up at that point there. Like I got a sauce with like tequila in it, and like I was using a bottle of tequila per case. When I'm doing 100 cases, I can't do like 100 bottles of tequila. Cost would just be insane there, and I would have to sell it so much higher than what it is there. Luckily
Yep.
now I've got like a good partner for like my sourcing on my tequila, that I collab with a specific distillery that's like all like my hard alcohol and my sauces, like they source it directly from like 15 minutes away from us. We have a distillery which I partnered up with, and like we've managed to get like price point like super low on that thing, which is like
Hmm.
incredible. But like it just wasn't possible at the beginning, so I had to adjust certain things that like now it makes more sense to be able to scale up at this point, because like we were just speaking before about like passing the torch on to somebody to like co-pack and stuff there. Like it's easy to do it yourself and to figure it out there, but like once you got to give it to somebody else to do, and then they
Yep.
got to figure out how to do it. You may lay out a recipe and stuff like how it's done, the process, but like they may see it a different way. Or when you're working with like your machinery versus like their machinery, which is meant for bigger scales, you got to like adapt your process and stuff there. So like I'm slowly like learning this now that like I'm getting into like the co-packing like conversation and stuff there. So it's interesting, and like I'm definitely like telling makers like make sure your products like you could scale it up, and you could go from like anywhere from one case to like 100 even more cases, because who knows, your thing may blow up at one point there, and you won't be able to suffice demand, and that may be like the end of your business if you're not able to like keep up with demand. So it's been
Yeah.
a journey, but I'm slowly figuring that out there, and I'm glad I figured it out now and not like later on in the road there, where I'm just it's too much for me to handle. Where now it's at a point where I could handle it, and I understand my processes and stuff and what I need to do. Be able to like when I come up with new recipes, I always think about like, okay, I made this for like 6 bottles as a test batch, but are these things that I'm putting in here available in bulk to be able to do this at a level of 100 cases at a time, and it's going to be able to be sold at a price point that makes sense for the merchant and myself to be able to survive and to be able to still be profitable and be able to continue going on. Because I mean, if I make one product, I still have like 20 others that like in rotation that's happening, that I got to make sure that like balancing the books and stuff to make sure that I have
Yep.
enough money to be able to pay all these things. Like those it's getting to a point where it's not easy to keep up with like the financial part of it, where you got to scale like your, I mean, my rent doubled in the past 2 months because I
Hmm.
switched locations, but I also went to a place that's 5 times bigger than what I was before. I now have a dock. I have an elevator, which before I would make 100 cases at a time, and I'd have to bring them up to the second floor, down the hall, down
Man.
another hall, down another hall. Yeah, that was like my back was killing me at that time there. But now, I mean, I my bottles now that I get like a pallet of, I get it delivered straight here, put it on the jigger, go into the elevator, drop it off, and we're done. 3 minutes. It used to
Yep.
take me 3 hours just hauling that stuff upstairs. So like now, I'm very thankful that I spent that extra money on that there, but now I've got to spend and I got to make that extra money by selling all these product, and like even just like the part of like getting into stores and stuff there, like that's like a anyone could go to a farmer's market and sell, anyone could get into a festival and sell, but like getting into stores and like shelf space, which is very
Hmm.
important and cost money, getting into that, like that is like a whole nother game. And getting reoccurring customers, keeping buying and stuff there, as a website, like it's a whole nother dimension that like it's like the part where it's fun to make a sauce, but now you got to sell it afterwards, and you got to figure out that portion, which is there's no book that tells you when you become a hot sauce maker, this is what you need to do. Here's step one, step two, step three. You kind of
Yep.
figure it out as you go, and you learn from others and stuff there. So
Yeah.
sometimes a
Yeah.
bit of luck too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And a lot of people I think just kind of skim over the fact that it's easy to, as you were saying, get lost in the idea of just really wanting to do it yourself in all of that. And yes, that process, I guess to touch on the co-packer side, from everyone that I've talked to, it is a very delicate balance of trying to find a
Mhm.
co-packer that one meets your exact parameters of how to make this product, right? But then also the sourcing of the quality and how often can they actually get this. And then it's like not only do you have the business aspect, then you have the personal, the relational aspect of it. So like, can you actually see wanting to talk to this person on a consistent
Mhm.
basis, things like that. Because if
Yeah.
all those things don't click, then you kind of have a problem there, and you might not see it right
Mhm.
away, but that problem will expose itself as that relationship continues. And
Mhm.
it's a slightly frightening thing for a lot of folks in that sense, but you just can't let the fear cripple you. You have to find a
Mhm.
way through it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I
that's
like jumping into the unknown. I like not knowing what's gonna happen next and trying to like figure it out, and the stress and like the not knowing what's gonna happen next or just kind of figuring it out there. Like that whole journey is like a lot of fun. Like maybe not so much fun at the beginning when you're kind of figuring it out, but like when you look back at it like 6 months later, you're just like, wow, I really did it that way, or like you figured it out there with like no help or with a bit of very marginal help there. So it's that part like really like thrives me in the business, like knowing that like I'm going into something and like kind of the unknown and trying to figure it out, and like I have an idea of what I want to get into, and like seeing it like 6 months later when I look back at certain things that I came up with like before, and like I was like, okay, this is like a position I'm going to put myself into. And then like you look back 6 months later and you're just like, hey, if I didn't make that move before, like I wouldn't be where I am today. And like thinking back, like, wow, I did that and it was such a good idea. Like a perfect example, and like this is something in Quebec, it's a site called People Hub, and it's like a specific like B2B market where you only sell to merchants. And like I remember the first couple of years they had like approached me to be able to like get me on their platform and stuff to be able to sell to merchants, and I was just like, I was always into like, I'm not going to give a percentage to anybody. I'm going to do it all myself. I'm going to do all the shipping myself. I'm going to find all the merchants myself. But like having to send messages to merchants to get them to like buy my product, emailing, DMing, calling, showing up to places to like try to get them to like buy my product, like it's fun. But then when you look at it like from a financial standpoint, like all the time, like time is money, and people don't
mhm.
realize that at the beginning. But spending all that time to try to get all that things, like I maybe should have joined them a lot more. And ever since I did join their platform, like now things just like run by itself. Like I don't even need to do like, it's just working on word of mouth where I put my products online to the merchants and sales just go through, and I don't even have to touch that part of the marketing, which at the beginning, I can't believe I didn't do this because I saved so much time back and forth, like sending listings, getting listings back, negotiating prices, negotiating like when the delivery is going to happen. If there's fees for like delivery, there's no fees for that. Who's going to receive it? We only get it from this time to this time. Where now it's like go on my platform, all my payment terms are there. My products, my listing, my prices, my suggested retail prices there, the image of the product, the ingredient list, the description, everything's there. So you go on it, you put your name, you put your address, you submit an order, I approve it, and boom, it's done. It's already fixed. So like, it's so much easier that I've done that. And that delegation process took me a while to figure out because I didn't want to give that money to somebody else, but I realized that the money that I'm spending on that if I could have
Yep.
spent that way 2 years ago, I would have done that like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because I did
Yeah.
not realize how efficient I am in other things now because I've delegated that process.
We see like I see that a lot in my day to day. There's so much more with like companies that have been doing everything on their own, handling everything on their own, and then coming
Mm-hmm.
in and being able to apply systems that help offlift and automate a lot of the process. And like that's something that I think is extremely important, and it should resonate
Mm-hmm.
with pretty much any business owner that's out there. Maybe some very niche ones this probably doesn't, but it's just like, why not let someone else do the work that you don't necessarily you're not geared for, or you don't necessarily have the
Mm-hmm.
best optimized use of your energy on, and then you
Mm-hmm.
focus on what you are doing best. And so
Mm-hmm.
like that part is extremely crucial. And when companies start to see that click, it's that light bulb moment. It's very much true to what you're saying. Like, I wish I would have done this X amount of years ago, or I wish I would have started this,
Mm-hmm.
whenever. But it's just that aha moment. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that level of unknown. It's that level of fear that kind of arises in most business owners' minds and eyes to see something like that be presented to them. Like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to give up this portion because this would lose my identity. And it's like, well, you still have control. It's not like you're, handing over your business and you're saying, okay, this is, I don't
Mhm.
want this anymore. Here you go. And then walking away from it. Like you're still in
Mhm.
the driver's seat. So
Yeah.
no, hugely impactful there.
Mhm.
I guess to beautifully touch on that point as well. I mean, obviously, you mentioned you're in quite a few different stores. Is that your primary
Mhm.
area of business, or are you seeing this also like mostly as well a nice spread of local markets, or are you seeing a lot more just online sales? How does that kind of mix up look like for you?
Yeah. It's always interesting to find out how business goes like that because when I talk to other makers, it's completely different than my situation. I actually just did my financial reports not long ago, so I know this stuff there. 71% of my sales are B2B, so business to business. I have 19%, which are sales in person. So when I call them in person, they're like markets and festivals, and
Mm-hmm.
then 10% is online. So online is actually the place where I sell the least.
Mm-hmm.
I actually want to work on that this year. I built my website myself using Shopify, which at the beginning you try to do everything yourself. I'm figuring that out that it's not always the best thing to do. So
Yeah.
my site is okay, it's functional, but I'm actually looking at investing into somebody to redo the website. To be able to generate more sales here because I have some issues where I have it some in English, some in French, there's something in the SEO in the background that I haven't like figured out correctly in here, so I got to like figure out certain things. And even just like the Our Sauces page, I was actually starting to work on it this weekend because
Uh huh.
I'm preparing for like my anniversary release and stuff there. So online sales hasn't been the top stuff, but I'm slowly working on that.
Yeah.
My B2B has been running fantastically, honestly. Like I couldn't ask for better, but I would love to have my online sales like jump a little bit more to get a little bit more get more sales generated from there. Uh, Although sometimes people don't understand that like the whole like managing like the logistics part of it, like the transportation of like products,
Yeah.
figuring that portion out, like it's not like prices on my website are slightly higher than they are like in store, but that's to cover like my website fee, to
Mm-hmm.
cover the packaging, which is like your boxes that you need to buy, your shipping peanuts, to pay the
Yep.
transporter. I offer free delivery over $50, which is very rare in like
Mm-hmm.
Quebec to be able to do that. Most people it's like 75 to like $100, but I just have my prices slightly higher on my website than in person to cover that. And I found an excellent transportation system where I have a connection to my Shopify website where you make a purchase online, it goes straight into my transporters. It's called ClickShip. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, like ClickShip,
Yep.
you then select like UPS, Pure Later,
Yep.
FedEx, any local transporter, and whatever the price you pay is you price the pay for pickup as well. So like switching to that to be able to just like orders come in, I pack them, I leave them here, I click a button, and UPS or Pure Later or FedEx show up the day of or the next day to come pick up and deliver to the client the next day has been a game changer in being able to speed up that process. And also, they do the same thing for like my B2B side where it goes into my B2B website, then goes into my ClickShip, and then afterwards I process the order, I pack it up, which I'm eventually going to look into having maybe somebody do like that distribution part. I do
Yeah.
handle that 100% myself, but I'm slowly looking into maybe getting a distributor to grow. But then again, it's also giving them a
Yeah.
percentage as well, which is cutting into
Yeah.
profit margins as well. But to evaluate is it worth it or not, I just moved into this 1,100 square foot uh, warehouse, so like I need to use it for now there. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
continue doing it this way a little bit, but then I'm slowly gonna look into like the co-packing part, and then to the distribution part to be able to delegate those tasks and whatnot there. But B2B is definitely like my niche. That's where like I do very well in, and the other parts where I did my first year I did 52 festivals. My second year I did 36 festivals.
Wow.
Last year I did 22. This year I'm lining up for 18. So like I'm going down lower and lower, but I'm also finding out like the local farmers markets, they're great to be known within your area, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not always the most profitable. Yes, they're really cheap at the beginning. You look at them and the prices aren't really high. But then when you
Yep.
go to like the beer festivals, you go to like the food festivals, which is a lot more expensive.
Yep.
That's where you're gonna get more sales come in. You're going to find out, maybe I found so many retailers from places like that who've gotten products bought from me from there to then be able to distribute in the store. Or finding the game of that is like to go to a festival, find local spots to sell your products in. So that way when you go there, when people ask, where can I find them? Oh, well, go down the street down over there, go down the street over there. In the city, there's this place to buy it from. So like I've like finally mastered that aspect of like getting my product into there, and being able to prepare myself for that like has worked phenomenally.
Very nice. Yeah, no, that sounds super cool, and the great expansion to be able to kind of know where you're strong in, and like know where you're needing to work on, and have that clear path forward. Because I feel like a lot kind of struggle to get that, or really to, I guess, define what they want from
Mhm.
this, upcoming year. So very cool to hear there. I do have a very fun game plan, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and kick it on over to the
Mhm.
game.
Cool.
All right, well, here we go. We have the spicy gauntlet. This is iteration number 27. So, for all of those that are at home watching, listening, the way this goes, there is one winner, and I will go ahead and lay out the disclaimer now. Just because something doesn't move forward doesn't mean that you dislike it or you wouldn't recommend someone checking this out. But simply, just someone has to win today. So, with that being said, we have, well, a very this might be a little bit challenging for you to get through today, but we're gonna go ahead and jump on into it. So up first, I will actually need your help with some of this because of, well, translation issues on my end. So we'll start off with the ones I can say. We have final sauce, and well, I actually can't say the second one. So here's your sauces, and we are going to. Here's a great way to kind of showcase and highlight your sauces for
Uh-huh.
everyone that might be watching, listening, unfamiliar. So
Yeah.
winner, loser, however you want to define each round in the overall bracket is totally up to you. This could be based on your
Uh-huh.
own personal preference right this moment. This could be based on
Mhm.
the process in which it's made. However,
Mhm. Okay. So the first one is final sauce. The second one is brassé du satay. So it's a direct translation from brew juice, because it's a collab with a brewery over here with a beer that's called brew juice. But since we're in Quebec, things got to be French. So brassé jus is a translation. And satay, well, it's just a style of the sauce. It's a peanut butter, lime, soy, and a peanut butter and jam smoothie beer, which is like crazy as a mix. Final
oh yeah.
sauce is my most it's the craziest sauce I've made in terms of like heat. There's got 13 million Scoville extract. There's 7 pot primos, there's reapers, there's scorpions, there's ghost peppers, there's chocolate habaneros. There's a ton of peppers in that there. And for the flavor profile, it's soy and honey, so it's like an Asian style sauce. If I had to choose between the two, this is tough because like final sauce is like my next like biggest like product, whereas like brassé du satay is like my a sauce that I would use more often. So I think I'm gonna go with final sauce.
All right, final sauce it is. Well, let's take a look at the next on the list here. Well, we have Bear Geek versus another one that I cannot say.
Yeah, so Beer Geek Six is our sixth collab with a brewery. It's a chipotle raspberry hot sauce with a bear paw stout and a sour raspberry beer, and pas le temps niaiser, which means no time to screw around in French. It's a famous Quebec meme. It's a kiwi, tequila, lime, and basil hot sauce. It's one of the first sauces I made after my blueberry sauce. For this, I would go with pas le temps niaiser. Like that was like one of my first ever products I made there. So let's go with
All
that.
right. All right. And move that on over there and over to the next one. All right. Well, we have Jammed versus, well, this other one here that I will also need your assistance.
Yes. So we've got Jammin, which is one of my other OG products, one of my 4 OG products. It's a mango pineapple curry and jerk spice with coconut, roasted coconut. And we've got piquant pantoute, which literally translates to spicy, not at all. It's a habanada pepper sauce, so all the flavor of a habanero, but with zero heat. A straight pepper sauce. So for this, I'm gonna go with the piquant ponted, so spicy not at all. It's a
All right.
sauce I made for my son, who's 2 years old, so that every person in the world who says I don't eat spicy could get used to the pepper flavor.
Absolutely. And that's such a beautiful pepper because you do still get that great habanero kind of taste, but without any of the
Mhm.
actual effects. So, very well there. And then we have Party Out and Blueberry Yum Yum.
Yes. So blueberry yum yum is my other OG product, which is a blueberry vanilla cinnamon nutmeg gram masala and a fresh mint sauce. It's made with ghost peppers, and fumé partout, which means smoke everywhere. Is a collab with a brewery out here and a rock metal band, which they have their most famous song is called "Fumé Partout," which means smoke everywhere. It's a song
Okay.
about smoking cigarettes, honestly, about smoking cigarettes everywhere. So of course the sauce is a smoky sauce. It's a smoked. Its style is a French onion soup sauce, but
Ooh.
in a smoky version. So we use smoked onions that we naturally smoke, no extract and smoke. And then we add a bourbon barrel aged stout to it. Fresh. We use maple syrup as well. So for this, honestly, we're gonna go blueberry yum yum. Like that's like my first ever product like I ever made. So it's got to be that.
All right, I like it. Now the other sauce sounds phenomenal as well. I do love a nice, smoked onion type of sauce in
Mhm.
general. So okay, all right. Well, we have oyster versus the kernel.
Yes. So Oyster Moisture is a collab with an oyster shop around here that we made a serrano fermented serrano pepper sauce just to go well with oysters, and we've got Colonel Mustard, which is a three type mustard sauce. It has Dijon, it has baseball, and it has à l'ancienne, which is old style mustard, whole grain mustard. And then we add a lager beer to it, and we use buckwheat honey. I'm definitely go with Colonel Mustard. Like that's like my favorite sauce at the moment.
That sounds phenomenal. Absolutely love a nice mustard sauce.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we have the next two, of which I'm not even going to try to butcher. I'm going to let you take over on that.
Yeah. La pagaille, which is based, it's a play on words for garlic. It's a honey, garlic, sesame, and soy sauce made with scorpion peppers. And brassé du Memphis barbecue is brewed. It's the translation from brew juice, Memphis barbecue. So I wanted to make like my style of a Memphis barbecue style sauce. So in that we have molasses. I add black garlic to it. I have whole grain mustard, and I have a berry and coffee smoothie beer in it as well to give it more like depth to it. I'm gonna go with La Pagaille because that sauce is just absolutely incredible. Local garlic, local honey, local scorpion peppers, like fully local, and yeah, it's a great sauce.
All right. I like it. I like the way this is shaping up. I can already start to see a trend here. So, Pizza Delic, I can definitely say that. The other one, I am, I think I can take a guess, but I wouldn't want to butcher it. So,
Yeah. So Pizza Delic is my marinara style sauce. So it's basically my homemade pizza sauce that I just transformed into a hot sauce by adding peppers. And the little crazy thing about this, and people may be wondering why there's crickets on it, is because there's cricket powder in it to give it like a bit of an earthier flavor to it. The other one is called Lips Bum, which is little bums, which basically means little rascals in French. It's a pickle hot sauce with gin, rosemary, thyme, and juniper berries.
ooh.
I'm definitely gonna go with Lipsi Bum. I love a good pickle sauce, and people who love pickles absolutely love this sauce.
You had me at the gin and juniper aspect. Like that is
Hmm.
such a unique ingredient choices to kind of go in there with that
Hmm.
pairing. Sounds phenomenal.
Hmm.
All right. Well, next we have Mateo, and then the other one, which has no words, and so I left that in there for you to help
Hmm.
us with.
Yes. So Mateo is a chimichurri style sauce with fresh parsley, fresh basil, fresh oregano, olive oil, and Big Mama mustard peppers. As the image, it's me as a doctor with my girlfriend on the table and peppers in her stomach. It's actually the name of my son. It's was made to announce his birth, so that's why there's an image, and that's why it's called Mateo because my son is called Mateo. The other sauce is Pina Cafe Latte. During this episode, I was drinking this beverage right here. It's not beer, it's a coffee lemonade beverage. It's made out here in Montreal from a company 15 minutes down the road. So this sauce is smoked pineapple, coffee, lemonade, cumin, paprika. It's basically like a Taco El Pastor, but made into a sauce.
Oh wow.
That's actually the sauce that actually went from. That's like my most popular sauce. You got me with a tough one because it's my most popular and like my second favorite sauce, and then there's a sauce made for my son, which is like super popular as well. Damn. I think like at the moment I gotta go with Pina Cafe Latte. Like that's
All
just
right.
like it's been my biggest seller.
All right. Easy enough.
Damn, this
Once
is gonna get
again, it's
tough.
not that it's gone. It's just someone has to win. All right.
Hmm.
Now we're down to the final 8. Things are going to get even more challenging. Let's go ahead and zoom
Hmm.
in. Where would you like to take this next battle?
Yeah. So just before we go any further, I just want to mention that like all these sauces that you see here have been the illustrations have been made by a real artist. So we do not use any AI whatsoever in our for our artists for our illustrations. Everything is
Mhm.
made by a real artist, hand drawn and then converted digitally. So just want to point that out because some people think that things are AI generated, but zero AI in our artwork. All real artists. We pay them a fair wage whatever their price is, that's what we pay. So I just wanted to mention that beforehand, which
Very
is why you
nice.
have so many different collabs and so many different styles.
Yeah.
So for this, honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Final Sauce. Like that's like as much as it's the sauce I use the least, it's definitely the like this is like my baby right now, and this is the sauce that I think is gonna like make us blow up. They're like it's a crazy sauce, honestly.
All right. I like it. Well, we have the sauce that started it, and then we have a sauce with no heat. Where would you like to take this one?
Ooh, oof, this is tough. Oh, you got me right now. I think we're gonna have to go to piquant pantoute because that's the sauce I made for my son. It's actually a sauce I thought about this before making blueberry yum yum
Uh huh.
because I remember going into a shop and finding a no heat sauce and I was like, this is crazy. Let me try to make this. And like 3 years later or 2 years later, when I had my son, this is the perfect time to make it. So yeah, let's go with that.
All right. And well, let's move on over to this side over here, and we'll zoom in on the kernel. Where would you like to go?
So Colonel Mustard or Pagaille? I can have to go with Colonel Mustard because that's like my go-to at the moment.
All right, kernel mustard it is. Let's move on down here. And well, we're at another battle of kind of two unique sauces from the sounds of it.
Mhm,
It's just one
mhm,
is I guess a little bit more tart, and then the other one's going to be a little bit
mhm.
more savory from what I've gathered here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we got my pickle sauce versus my smoked pineapple, coffee, and cumin sauce. Oof, this is tough. Everyone loves a good pickle sauce, but I'm gonna have to go with pina colada.
All right.
That's like my best seller.
Let's get that on over here. And I think I need to move this. There we go. For proximity of the game. All right, down to the final 4. Well, we have final sauce. We have a max heat sauce versus a no heat
Mhm.
sauce. And then we have on the other side, a savory depth battling out another savory depth. So, how do you want to start on the left or on the right?
This is tough. I think I think I know my answers already for like the right side, so let's go with the right.
All right.
We're gonna go with Colonel Mustard because
All right.
that's like my go-to at the moment and the sauce I've been most frequently using at the moment. And on
Let's,
the left side, no heat versus extreme heat. Like really going to two different extremities.
yep.
I think for the purpose of being like a hot sauce maker, we got to go into final sauce there because this is like this is a crazy sauce in terms of heat level. Like this is like the sauce that like this year people are gonna know. They're gonna know very much what this sauce is there.
Absolutely. I'm liking it. I like where this is going. Where are we taking this final battle here?
My favorite or the public's favorite at the moment? I think we're gonna go with Final Sauce. Final
Fine.
Sauce, like even just with the artwork. Uh, Tidbit on this: the artwork is based on Ibiza Final Boss, the meme that was going around for the last couple of months, where the guy's in Ibiza and he has a craziest hairdo and sunglasses and stuff. So I
Okay.
told my artist, draw this guy and a dude, but make him me with my MTHELL playing a DJ set, and let's call it Final Sauce instead of like Final Boss. So that's like the insight on this illustration on this saucer.
Absolutely love it. Final sauce, taking home the Spicy Gauntlet 27. There we go. Absolute amazing lineup, and everyone gets a great insight on everything that you have going on currently. What did you think of the game?
Great. Honestly, it was tougher than I expected. I wasn't expecting to have that hard of a choice to make between some of my sauces, but I think I realized that I'm more of like a savory fan than I am like a sweet fan. So it's it was interesting to because I have like preferences towards like certain artwork, preference towards like certain like recipe ideas, or like even like the story behind certain things. Like I have like preference towards certain things, so it was cool to see like to put me on the spot and to think about like what do I prefer in the between the two and stuff there. So it was a fun
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. All right, all right. Well, this next part, obviously, we kind of talked about the nugget of knowledge. So I think what we were going to do is you might have had, I guess, some stuff that could be coming up here soon. I didn't know if you maybe wanted to talk
Mhm.
about some of that now in this little portion before we get to the hot seat nomination.
Yes, of course. So it's been 4 years I've been in business, and every year I try to make it bigger and bigger and bigger by releasing new products or releasing very niche products or stuff that like is seasonal. So we've announced our 4th year anniversary sauces. We have Gilles Doigt, which is in English means I'm allowed. This sauce is a seasonal sauce made with a kilo of every single pepper from all my producers. We have a total of 56 different varieties of peppers. We take them from the harvest, we chop them up all by hand, we destem them all by hand, and then we make a batch of hot sauce out of this Louisiana style sauce to bring me back to like Tabasco. So this is the first sauce. The second sauce that I want to bring into it is to celebrate our anniversary. It's called Bun Fight MTL, which means Happy Birthday MTL. Same sort of Louisiana style. It's fermented reapers, fermented Big Mama mustards. There's black garlic in it. There's real black truffles. Like I got them imported from France. So and we made our own oil from it. So we made a black truffle oil, and we added edible gold glitter to it. So yes, the sauce shines. We're going super creative into this one. And two other sauces. We've got our petit sauce de mort, which means small sauce of death. This is a gochujang, hoisin, and vanilla stout in collaboration with Misorum Brewery out in Verdun. This, if you like buldak ramen, it tastes like a buldak sauce. It's crazy. And then we've got our petit sauce de mort peach bacon. I know bacon in a hot sauce. People are like, "What the hell?" I found these specific maple bacon seasonings that I added to this. So it's roasted peaches. There's a saison peach beer in it. There's bacon and maple spices as well as maple syrup in it. A simple recipe, but very creative in the idea. And last but not least, the product that I probably am out of stock of the most that has a recurring out of stock label, which sucks, but I finally figured out a way to keep it in stock. It's our cowboy candy. So it's basically confit jalapenos, but because I'm me and I can never do anything just simple, I use coconut sugar instead of regular sugar, and I use maple sugar as well. And then we process our jalapenos and we let them simmer for 4 weeks at a minimum to get all the flavor into the jalapenos. They're back in stock. I don't know for how long. I'm going to try to keep them in stock for as long as I can. But yeah, our 5 products that are released for our 4th year anniversary.
Absolutely amazing. Congratulations on all those new
Thank you.
products. Definitely head on over there, grab yourself some if you're watching,
Mhm.
listening. And yes, I love your approach on the cowboy candy because, a lot will use the sugar, which is great, but to be able to have an alternative with the coconut sugars is absolutely
Mhm.
very cool to see.
Mhm.
So very awesome there. Yeah, something that you're very familiar with. Once again, hot seat nomination. This is someone that you think would make a great guest for the show.
Yeah, I would like to nominate Tom from Tijuana Tom's out in Ontario, Milton, Ontario. I would love to nominate him. I think he'd be an excellent guest. He's got a lot of cool products. He's a beer geek just like me as well. And he's been grinding for a little bit more than me. I think 5, 6 years that he's been in business now. So I'd like to nominate Tijuana Tom. He would be a great guest for the show.
All right. Well, Tijuana Tom, I'll be reaching out to have a time to have you come on the podcast. So thank you so much for that nomination there, Zach. And this last little bit is greatly beneficial for those that are just audio only listeners. Where can they find you? How can they find you? And anything you want to let them know? This is a great opportunity for that.
Yes. So Facebook, Instagram, website, it's all mthell.shop. So mthell.shop. You can find us on all platforms, even on TikTok if you want to find us there. I'm not as active as I should be, but I'm going to become more active because I'm starting getting more into videos there. But yeah, mthl.shop. Find us all over. We ship anywhere in Canada. We deliver anywhere in Quebec as well. We are looking about getting into the States. We're talking to a partner to be able to do so. So if not, follow our social medias, get some stuff in Canada if you're here, or go into stores. We're across Quebec everywhere and a few locations in Ontario.
Absolute pleasure having you on, Zach. Obviously, still so much more we can dive into, so much more that we can
Mhm.
discuss. And one, of course, just the simple growth trajectory that you have going forward to touch on, but still so much more. So, would love to have you back on the
Mhm.
podcast and dive a little
Of
bit
course.
deeper.
Of course. It was a pleasure. I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Zach, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on and learning about Mount Hell hot sauces. If you would like to keep up, I'll have the direct links down below, a link to the website so you can check out the full lineup of amazing products and merch, as well as these new sauces that he just talked about. They will be featured there, ready to go. So grab some while you can, while they are in stock. Highly recommend checking those on out, as well as new episodes drop every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central with a periodic Thursday coming back into the fold there. So keep your eyes peeled for that, as well as much more content we'll be rolling out in reviews. Some stuff that has been, lost on a hard drive, I've now have found and located again. So you'll start to see those roll out on Scorching and Swearing, and a few new updates. Also have sponsorship opportunities available open for the podcast. So if you're looking to sponsor the podcast, have a featured segment, highly recommend reaching out theswearword.net or reach out via socials and we'll get that conversation started. If you're on a platform that allows for a 5-star rating and review of the podcast, please go ahead and do so. That helps immensely get in front of those algorithms and in front of those that are curious about the world of hot, all the way to those that are chili heads, loving it, digging it, and just trying to find more of it. So appreciate all y'all doing that review and sharing this around. So thank you all so much for that. Also, current shout out for our sponsors, podvision.io. If you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, you've hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all of those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have an online site, maybe you had a guy at one point and lost contact, maybe you never had a person or had a website set up for you. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one. Best of all, they make it painless, easy, and fast, and they get you looking great online while you get to focus on what you do best. I'm Brandon Swear, and from everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.